Amazing new year. It happens to be today when I'm recording this. So excited for 2023 because 2022 sucked. And, we had a few good movies in there, here and there. Nothing, over the top great. I'm probably going to do, a top 20 or so of movies I've seen or rank them, that kind of thing. But I know nobody is talking about Babylon, so I figured I would do a video on it since I basically did a search and there's barely any reviews at all for Babylon because nobody went to see it. I mean, literally no one went to see this movie. And of course, Margot Robbie's getting, hit for the backlash of why this is not doing well, or she's the face of it, and on top of Brad Pitt, even though Brad Pitt's basically the star, but Brad Pitt has done other films this year, and none of them have tanked. For Margot Robbie, this is the second movie that's tanked this year alone. Not even counting Birds of Prey. So, and when I say tanked, I mean non-existent. So this movie, Babylon, cost anywhere between $80 million to $110 million to make. That is a huge, huge number for a drama. Then on top of that, she was just in Amsterdam with the same exact budget of $80 million. So, and both films, all right, so let me put it this way. So far, Babylon has only made $10 million. Now, when you say it's $80 million, that's not the money you need to make back. You need to make back almost 3 times that because of the marketing and advertising that is done. And they're doing quite a bit of that. And then on top of that, the theater is going to take 50%, and internationally they're going to take more. So that's why you multiply it times at least 2.3%. To figure out how much money they need to make back. And the amount is $184 million. So, and they're at 10. And Amsterdam made 30 and also needed to make $184 million. So, there's no way this thing's not crashing. But this is over like $150 million loss for the studio, and Amsterdam was the same. So, I don't know, how this is going to impact her career. It probably won't impact Brad Pitt's because of the fact that he has had, this year alone, has had Bullet Train and things to that effect, where she just keeps going, in a negative direction. Suicide Squad, of course, did decently, and that was the James Gunn one. So I can understand. Now, is it her fault? Is it Brad Pitt's fault this didn't do well? No. It was, I'm going to blame this completely on the writer-director. So Damien Chazelle, I hope I said his name right, he is the writer/director. Now, whenever you're a writer/director, this could go in one direction or the other. As we kind of saw with Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman. What happens is that sometimes they give these writer-directors too much leeway, right? They get too much power. And they go and they could do whatever they want. So they're sitting in the executive's office of the studio, and he's like, I want to do this my way. I don't want anybody involved with it. And that's the only way that I'm going to make this film. And the executive says, sure, you're an Oscar award winner. You made Whiplash, and you made First Man, and you made La La Land. And those were all... and 10 Cloverfield Lane also. I think you just wrote that one. But you did all these things, so sure, go with it. Go with your gut. You do whatever you need to do. And that is the nail in the coffin when that happens. And this is the perfect example of that. So you have too much power, so the end cut is his. He didn't pull anything out. This is over a 3-hour film. Did it need to be over 3 hours? No, it did not. For sure. It drags. Let's put it this way. There's a party scene in the beginning. So in this party scene, even the title of the film doesn't come up until after the party scene is over, and the party scene has to be at least 20 minutes long. At least 20 minutes long. Do you need 20 minutes of setup for some of these characters? No. This is crazy. And pretty much every scene he has in there is too long. Almost every single one. So it's like, okay, is this scene over yet? Is this scene over yet? And they just keeps going. So again, is it the actor's fault? No, it's not the actor's fault at all. It's they did their job. They did some great performances in there. Gene Smart was good, and Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt. And then they brought in people. Here's the other thing. I saw a lot of wasted money here. A lot of wasted money. So they had one of the band members there. So it's basically, the plot is, here's these actors in silent films, right? And what happens to them when the sound comes in, right? When sound films come in, what happens to those people? So it's basically the film industry and the debauchery that happens in the film industry, and what happens to these people that are gluttonous when they no longer can make films. And Margot Robbie, gets the shot of the lifetime, and she squanders it. And then you have Manny, who's played by Diego Calva, who I have never seen anything before. I looked him up, and he barely has done anything, not in this country anyway. He's a Spanish actor. So this character becomes a producer, and he tries to help her. He's in love with her, and she's just a mess. So that's the basic storyline. But here's the other problem. Everybody's saying, oh, is this Oscar, material? We've already seen this film, okay? Done much, much better. So this is The Great Gatsby mixed with The Artist, right? And The Artist won a Best Picture award. But it was done far, far, far better, right? So you also have in this film Olivia Wilde. You have Tobey Maguire. Phoebe Tonkin, I don't even remember. She's from the originals. I don't even remember her being in there. Olivia Wilde's in one scene. Tobey Maguire is in 2 scenes, right? Technically an extended scene, but he's in 2 scenes. That's it. Out of 3 hours, they're probably in, Margot Robbie's in 5. Olivia Wilde's in maybe 5 minutes, if. Also, Samara Weaving from Ready or Not, and a bunch of other things that she's done. She was in 1 scene. What a waste. So you have these people that are not cheap, and you brought them in. Plus, one of the band members, this is where I was myself off. They have him see, oh, here's your new house, and he's walking up and seeing, how great the house is and everything like that. And there was absolutely no reason for the scene. None. And I don't know what it cost to rent that mansion or things to that effect, but it was a complete waste of money. There's all these sweeping things of, Hollywood, and it's a period piece, takes place in the 1920s. They have all the cars, everything else. It's just a complete waste of money. Some of these scenes were completely unnecessary. So then, some of the stuff that they specifically wore. So it was 1920s. If a woman had a dress above the knee, that was saying something. That was almost unheard of in the 1920s. And Margot Robbie comes with this it's a red, completely open, and it's almost like boy shorts, right? That I can't imagine the costume department, the costume key coming up and saying, hey, this is my idea for these costumes. And the director saying, yeah, let's go with that. I think it was the other way around. I think the director said, here's what I want. The costume department was like, what? That doesn't match the era. They're like, oh, I don't care. So it constantly kept taking me out. At least in Amsterdam, I felt like I was in that time period. I did not feel like I was in that time period with this film. And I don't know why he was trying to straddle two different worlds. I don't understand what he was doing. Plus, I looked it up because there is a female director, and I'm like, huh? There's no female directors that time period. I was wrong. There is one. There was a female director in the 1920s. And here she's in pants and boots that if you're like in aviation boots. And no way. I looked it up, and she was in dresses on the set. So it's like every decision he made took you out of the film. Then, when they brought sound in, I don't know how sensitive those mics were when sound first occurred, but they could not have been that, there was a lot of things filmed in front of a studio audience, right? And they were complaining about how hot it was. I'm sure it was hot, but she says no AC. Margot Robbie says that to the director, no AC. Sure, AC was being developed in the 1920s, 1930s. It wasn't readily used till the 1950s, 1920s. What was he thinking? I mean, yeah, he said no fans. The fans I could understand. Even now, we can turn air conditioning off if, it's going to affect sound. But we have fans, and we had the AC running until we hit, action. It's, I don't know what he was thinking. It's everything, a lot of what he did just took me out of the film. So, yeah, the movie is kind of all over the place. Again, I don't understand some of his directions, and obviously nobody else does either. And the other thing is that even if people wanted to experiment and see this film, once they see it's got a 3-hour running time, I mean, that's what's happening with Avatar. People are complaining about the fact that I don't want to see it again because it's, over 3 hours long. And now imagine a drama as opposed to an action film. That's why everybody's staying away from this thing like the plague. Now, is it going to win an Oscar? Is it going to be Oscar bait? I don't know. I mean, I understand that's why probably actors signed up for this film. But again, we already saw this film with the artist. So the chance of them picking this up for nominations, I don't think so, man. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So out of 10, I got to give this thing. If I'm saying 3, it's probably high. It's probably high. The Rotten Tomatoes scores, as far as critics to audience, are matching it, which is highly unusual nowadays. But 55% for critics and a whole 49% for audience. And it's just, it's not really a good film. Not innovative, not anything. It's just there. And poor Margot Robbie has to shoulder this thing. Oh, well. Anyway, that's my take. Also, again, I'm going to put the link for the Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch, which we're still doing pre-orders on. And we're getting close to launching Lords of LA, the 3rd and 4th issue combined into the 2nd edition there. So if you haven't seen the first one, the link is also going to be there. It's the same link for Tales of Ravenor. And also the audiobook for Destiny Aurora continues to get great reviews. I'm excited to finally get the second one out. I might run a Kickstarter for that one. So I can, because they're not cheap to do. But they just come out really good, though. And I think that everybody I talk to says, oh, I'd rather listen to a book than read it. So, and then the audio came out really, really well. So anyway, that's it for that. And Happy New Year. And remember to subscribe and hit the like button and comment if you have any input. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great year.